Hey guys, Joe Madden, the Joe Madden Sports Podcast here, joined by Joe Duffy, CEO of OffshoreInsiders.com. Joe, how's the morning treating you?
Oh, it's doing pretty well, Joe. Thanks for having me on. I'm really impressed by some of the heavyweights in the industry that you've had so far. I guess in my case, literally, but I'm honored to be in such good company. You've got some great guests, done some great interviews, and I'm really honored to be part of it.
Well, I'm so excited to have you here today. You've got so much going on with what you're doing. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been around forever. I literally got started in this business part-time. Well, no, I take it back. I was in college and I started working for Dial Sports back in 1986. And then once I graduated college back in 88, I've been doing this full-time since the score phones did a 900 number. And I've been CEO of OffshoreInsiders.com. I guess it's been about 16 years. I don't know. Time slips away. But yeah, I'm a full-time handicapper and I really specialize more in advanced analytics where I do a lot of computer systems, computer software, and, we can go however you want. There's reasons why I believe that that is the best way to handicap games, but that's mostly a computer-based handicapper where I've really got some good systems that go way back to the 1980s when a guy by the name of Dr. Mike Orkin, who's a prominent statistician. I mean, you can Google him. He wrote a program that I just became fascinated with, and I became fascinated with Billy Waters and the computer group, and I've really immersed myself into some of the computer programs, and you might see a lot of people out there talk about their SQL handicapping. SQL, it's a computer language that's basically data mining, but it's a way to find systems, and I'm all in as far as that program's concerned, and that was written by a guy who's a physicist, sorry, Doctor, I forget your name. That's a program written by a physicist, and it's a tremendous program. So yeah, I definitely like to refer to myself as an advanced analytics Dr. Myers, by the way. But yeah, I definitely like to refer to myself as more of an advanced analytics handicapper, where I know a lot of people, and including some guests you've seen, like to break it down as far as the personnel. I really like the computer to guide me in many cases.
Okay, interesting way to take it. And you've been so successful doing it that way. Now, we were talking before we kicked off here about what a daily grind this is, that it ages us day in, day out watching these games. What is your positive that you take from this industry? What's your favorite part of it?
Well, the fact that, look, I was born a sports fanatic. From the time I was a little kid, I loved sports. And then I kind of became obsessed with the handicapping angle because of, something in Philadelphia Inquirer where they used to have a lot of gambling information. Then, in fact, my first full-time job, I wound up working for a guy by the name of Mickey Charles, who is a legend in the industry, may or may not be the most loved guy in the history of the industry. But I became fascinated with that. But yeah, the fact that I can actually sit and watch sports, I don't know how you beat that. Look, when I went away to college, my ultimate dream was for you to be watching me announcing those games. And I guess if my life worked out perfectly, maybe I'd be in Al Michaels' chair. But the fact that I'm a sports handicapper and get to pick the outcome of games and then sit around and watch them, I don't know how you can beat that.
Yeah, I don't think you can beat it either. I completely agree with you. Now we've got NBA playoffs. We've got some great series in this round. Dallas Mavericks taking on the Golden State Warriors tonight. What are you looking at for this one, Joe?
Well, this is one where, even though I'm not really a big futures bettor, and the main reason is because my advanced analytics make me have game-to-game adjustments. If you are betting it, and I'm personally not betting it for the reasons I stated, but I think Dallas is pretty good value. I think when I looked last night, I think you can get them about 180, 170, something like that. And look, I think it's very clear that Luka Doncic is finally arrived. It's funny how his career is almost kind of paralleling Dirk Nowitzki, although he seems to be even peaking at an earlier age. I remember a lot of people would say about Nowitzki, he's a great player, but does he have the physical toughness in the playoffs? And there were some people that were questioning Luka, whether he was a big primetime player or not. Well, those people have been silenced. He's clearly arrived. I think Golden State, as good as they are, look, if we were just doing a show that had nothing to do with gambling and you're asking me to make a prediction on who's going to win this series, I would probably lean towards Golden State, but I think Dallas is of great value. Klay Thompson's a tremendous player, but he's still not as good, especially on the defensive end, as he was before that injury. We know that Golden State, when they looked like they were on their way to being a dynasty, of course, Kevin Durant was a big part of that. He's long gone. So Golden State, they're a great team, but I think that, a little bit more because of perception and reputation and the fact that Dallas in the past has had some early exits. I do think that, they're undervalued. And in fact, I will say, although on my site, offshoreinsiders.com, I really like the total as a free pick, and I was very tempted, almost pulled the trigger. I do like Dallas plus the points, basically for those same reasons, because as I said, I think they're a little undervalued. I think the line is just barely shaded towards Golden State because of perception. And, it's one of these cases where, who's going to guard Luka? Not that anybody really matches up that well against him, but Clay, like I said, I think he's lost a step. Iguodala is great. Talk about a guy who's ageless. Iggy always comes up big defensively in the postseason, but this is a big challenge for him. So I do think that, Dallas enters this game a little bit undervalued. It's one of those cases where I think Golden State will probably win game one straight up, but it's going to go down to the wire. And I do like Dallas plus the points tonight. And at least from a pure value standpoint, I would, if I did bet futures, I would bet Dallas in the series.
Okay, I like it. I really do think we have a strong game out of Dallas here as well. We look at how well they have done in Golden State, covering the spread in 6 of their last 7 meetings and 4 of their last 5 meetings overall against the Golden State Warriors. So I think it's a strong play. I couldn't believe they were giving them this many points in this opening game. I was shocked.
Yeah, as a general rule, I will say this. As a general rule, favorites surprisingly do pretty well in the playoffs, and relatively big favorites do. I've never been a big fan of the regular season matchups, especially here. 2 of the Dallas wins where Draymond Green is out. No matter what you think of Draymond Green, it's easy to dislike him as a person, but you got to love him as a player. He was out 2 of those games. That was definitely a big factor. But still, is Draymond going to make a big enough difference where Golden State's going to win this game by, 7 points? I'm not all that sure. And like I said, and Dan Dinwiddie, he's been a great addition for Dallas. I know that, the first 6 games against Phoenix, he wasn't all that good, and then he came up big. But I do think that just because of what Dallas did at the trade deadline, the Mavericks are also a better team. Again, Golden State, of course, with Draymond in there, is a better team than they were in 2 of their losses. But Dallas is a better team. And I do think that, it's an old cliche, but Dallas truly is peaking at the right time.
Okay, so last night we saw the Heat and the Celtics go at it. The Heat able to pull it off thanks to a better second half than they saw in that first half. Tomorrow night, these teams will face off again. The Heat are a 4-point favorite. The total is up to 207.5, I believe, last time I checked in this one. Any thoughts on this series or the game tomorrow night?
Yeah, obviously the key, and I think because of the odds, if the odds makers know what they're doing, they have pretty good information. I think this is a pretty good chance that Smart's not going to play for Boston based on the line, or at least the odds makers think that he won't. Of course, as the line is going to move closer to game time, not so much because of money moves, but I think as we get more accurate injury information, and, obviously there's injuries on both sides of the ball, but I'm one of these people that, I think there's a big misconception. A lot of people like to say defense wins championships. I like teams with good offenses. Miami, I think they're clearly a good defensive team. There's no question about that. But I think sometimes people confuse slower paced teams with defensive teams and upper tempo teams with offensive teams. Miami, I know you talked about it on one of your earlier segments, Jimmy Butler. I mean, talk about a guy that I definitely want in the playoffs with offensively with the game on the line. And obviously Tyler Hero is another guy who just keeps getting better and better. So Miami has some big time offensive players. That's why I do like them a little bit more. Again, I'm not downplaying the importance of defense. If Smart comes back for Boston, that's really big for them. He's the defensive player of the year, so that will be a key. But yeah, Miami does have the momentum. And by the way, the NBA playoffs, there used to be something that was called the zigzag theory, which basically in a series you would bet the team that lost the previous game. And that it was true statistically. It did win for a while, but especially in recent years, the NBA playoffs have been a lot more about momentum. Clearly, the makers have adjusted. I do think you kind of want to wait until you get more accurate injury information before making a definite bet. And I haven't officially made a pick on the side or total for that game yet, but at least from my organic handicapping standpoint, I would probably lean towards Miami because they did play so well. And like I said, contrary to the old outdated zigzag theory, momentum is big. And usually if there is a momentum shift, it's when there's a sight shift. So, the fact that the home team won game one, I would expect them to be at least, like I said, before looking at my computer stuff, I would say that Miami would be a strong lean, but it is subject, to change once I definitely run my computer programs.
Yeah, absolutely. So strong lean on this, but definitely wait till we work out those injuries as well and see what this line movement does. We have to talk some NHL. You're a New York Rangers fan. I'm a Calgary Flames fan, both in the playoffs right now. Your Rangers face the Carolina Hurricanes. You guys going to make it through?
Yeah, I have to say, look, the Rangers, I honestly think are as intriguing as any team left. And as I told you, from a handicapping standpoint, I don't do as much, in part because my software isn't quite as sophisticated. So tonight I get to just be a fan. I'm not even going to bet $5 on the game. I'm just going to go back to being an old-fashioned fan. But I'm very encouraged by the fact that, look, the biggest question mark that the Rangers had entering the playoffs was clearly experience. Young, so many great young players, of course, led by Shesterkin. But then they fell down 3-1. The fact that they were not only able to come from behind 3-1, but they were down by 2 goals in game 5, 2 goals in game 6, a goal in game 7 on a controversial goal, by the way, which Pittsburgh went ahead. I think there is a team that got some serious baptism by fire. So they are truly a lot more experienced team that entered it. And again, it's another one of those cases, I would say almost exactly what I would about the Golden State series, where, if we weren't talking about gambling, if you're going to ask me to make a prediction, of course, I think Carolina should be the favorites. And I think I even saw where you can bet Carolina, to win it in 5 games or less. I think the Rangers, honestly, will make it a lot more interesting because they're super talented. And like I said, I think they really grew up by coming from behind in that series. And look, Shesterkin, clearly he wasn't looking like a Vezina Trophy winner, but he came through in game 7. So an old Yogi Berra-ism, I do think applies, that 90% of the game's half mental. So I do think that, hopefully for my Rangers, the Vezina Trophy winner and the Hart Trophy candidate goalie will show up in the second round. And I think there's reason to believe that he has turned it around.
Yeah, I have high hopes for your Rangers tonight. We see them so strong on the road here. And then the road team dominating between these two in the series, going 4-1 in the last 5 meetings. I wish you all the best in this series. I do hope that you guys I think you guys win at least 2. I think it's going to be a struggle this series, but the Rangers do have all the elements. And if they play a smart defensive game, we know Carolina is strong defensively too. I think we have a battle, and there should be some puck luck for both teams. So good luck to the Rangers to you.
No, definitely. And like I said, this is one of those where as much as I think that, the second place team is the first loser, or what's the saying for the horse racing move? If you're not first, you're last. If Rangers do impressive 30 team, could be a legitimate building block year. So if the Rangers do look impressive, all in all, I can be satisfied with the season and hope that they will be a contender for years to come. That's for sure. Let's go Rangers.
Let's go. Okay, Joe. Thank you so much for joining me here. Before we leave, can you remind everyone where to find you on all socials and what you have going on and where people can get your best bets?
Yeah, thank you, Joe, for having me on. I know it's a little confusing because of character limitations. On Twitter, I am at Offshore Insider with no S, but my website is offshoreinsiders.com. Maybe I can get what's his name to add a character so I can go to Offshore Insiders on Twitter. But I do have a big day. I do have the NBA total. Also have one of my bigger days of the year in baseball. I got 8 winners. 7 of them are night. One of them's a day game, including 4 of my highest rated Wise Guy plays. And go to offshoreinsiders.com to get that. But again, please also follow me on Twitter minus the S at Offshore Insider.
Okay, Joe, thank you so much for joining me today. You guys go over and give him a follow. I will be back later with Puckett with Joe. Don't miss out. I'll be breaking down these two NFL. I'm already thinking NFL. NHL games. Joe, we're going to have you back to talk some NFL. We were talking it before the show kicked off, but absolutely love it. You guys have a fantastic day. Joe, again, thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm impressed by your hockey knowledge. I'm going to be watching, but I'm going to listen closely what you say about my Rangers. But thanks for having me on, Joe.
Absolutely. Thanks, Joe. Have a wonderful day. You guys make sure you go over and give him a follow on